Welcome back to a Timey-Wimey pod where we watch every episode of Doctor Who from 2005 onwards. My name's Rebecca.
I'm Haley.
And today we are talking about Joy to the World.
Yeah, and this is our first episode of 2025, even though me and you are recording this currently in 2024.
Yes, we are recording from the past. So hopefully 2025 is going okay so far. And we hope you all had a lovely holiday with friends and family and are enjoying the new year. Haley, you got some fun Doctor Who things for Christmas, didn't you?
I did. My brother was really sweet and he got me Series 3 and Series 4 on DVD, which I really wanted because I have a couple other seasons of Doctor Who on DVD and I just love the thought of having the physical collection. And so I am so excited. And they also came with like temporary tattoos and magnets, which me and Rebecca are really excited about. So, anyways, shout out to my brother.
Shout out. It's perfect timing since this year will really be, doing the second half of season 3 and talking about series 4. Are you ready for some fantastic facts?
Yes, I am.
All right. This episode was written by the one, the only, Stephen Moffat, and was directed by Alex Pillai. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. And this is his first episode that he's ever directed.
Oh, really interesting.
And obviously, we all know it aired December 25th, 2024. Half the script was completed before Russell T Davies told Moffat that Ruby wasn't going to be in the episode, which makes me think that there's some version of the script somewhere where at least half of it includes Ruby. And I think that would have been really fun.
I'm going to save my opinions for later, but I'll just say it now. I would have much preferred that to have Ruby.
Yeah, I missed Ruby, but we'll get into it. Anita in this episode, who we meet, originally only had 10 lines, but the production team loved her so much that they gave her more lines. And thank goodness. Can I just say, thank goodness. And you also have a fantastic fact for us today.
I do, and I actually stumbled upon this randomly, and I thought it was actually really cool and really interesting. So in this episode, there's a scene involving people who are on the base camp of Mount Everest in 1953, and one of the actors, Samuel Sherpa Moore, played the role of his great-great-uncle Tenzing Norgay, who was a Sherpa that in 1953 was one of the first people to be confirmed to have reached the summit of Mount Everest. And
That's so cool.
Yeah, and Tenzing was even named as one of the 100 most influential people of the 20th century.
Wow.
So I thought that was so cool.
I love that. That's so cool. All right. I feel like there's so much to talk about with this episode. Where do we want to begin?
How about our initial thoughts on this episode? I don't know about you. I watched this episode 2 times. Did you do the same?
I did. So the first time I watched it, my family, we open presents Christmas Eve. So Christmas morning is very lazy for us. We just kind of, slowly wake up whenever we want. So I watched it on my phone in bed, kind of as my family was getting up for the day. And then I watched it one more time before recording. And so my initial thoughts, I really, really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, I think, a lot more than other people did. I do have criticisms that we'll get into, especially I just wish characters were a little more fleshed out, specifically Joy, even Anita, who I love, but I'm just like, with both of them, we don't really know who they are. And we get glimpses, especially with Joy and her mom, which I love all that. I can't wait to talk about that. But still, I'm like, who is she really? And who is Anita? I want to know everything about Anita. I'm obsessed with her. But overall, I did really enjoy this Christmas special. I think I liked it more than, I don't know if I like it more than the Church on Ruby Road. I think I need more time. But I really, really enjoyed it. And it's definitely going to go into the rotation of Christmas specials that I'll watch every year. But what do you think?
Okay, so my thoughts before I rewatched this episode was very much that this was a solid hit until the star bit. That just
Mm,
honestly, on a basic level, just kind of confused me just a little and kind of came out of left field for me because we
yeah.
had kind of heard during the episode that like this the star that was in the briefcase was going to like burn the whole world, and I don't really understand how Joy basically like swallowing the star, I guess, like or becoming the star prevented that from happening. Like that part was just really confusing, and I agree with you. I thought this on my first watch and also on my rewatch before this episode that both Anita and Joy really needed to be fleshed out, especially Joy, but Anita as well. The first time I watched this episode, I really did like Anita, don't get me wrong, but I didn't really understand just like everyone who like really loved Anita. And I did get it more and understand it more on the second watch.
Hmm.
I think it was just a combination for me of Anita as a character and as a person seems to be a bit more reserved. And again, we don't know a ton about her. So yeah, I feel very similarly to you, but that's where my head was at and is at with this episode.
Hmm. Yeah, the star thing is definitely confusing. Even watching it the second time, I was trying to follow that, and yeah, it it doesn't really make sense, but it's not something that really ruins the episode for me. I think with Doctor Who, I've just come to accept that, half the time I'm not going to know what's going on. And is that a good thing? No. But hey, it's the way it is, I guess.
Yeah, I don't mind not knowing or understanding what's going on. But for this, it wasn't even that. It's just that it really felt very sudden and a little bit
Yeah.
rushed almost.
Mm.
And I say this with all the love in the world. We have mentioned on this podcast before. We love Moffat. We will stand by
Hmm.
him even when, he doesn't have the strongest episodes or opinions. Like we love Moffat. But I do think he should have picked something to prioritize. Either the storyline with Joy or the storyline with Anita.
Mm. Or even Joy to like have spent the year with 15 at the hotel, and like she's kind of filling more of the Anita role. And like I'm
Mhm.
not saying that I want that, cuz I do really like what we got, but
Yeah.
I don't know, like especially I love Nicola Coughlan. We've talked before. I love
Mhm.
Bridgerton, and I love that we are just adding more Bridgerton cast members to the show. But she's so fantastic and such a fantastic actress, and it feels like we barely get to see her. We barely get time with her.
Mhm.
So I just wish we got more.
I completely agree. But let's get a little bit more into it and
Hmm.
into the plot.
Okay, I just want to say I love 15's outfit in this episode. The coat and the yellow shirt,
Mhm.
I am obsessed with. It's one of the best outfits he's worn so far.
Oh, I completely agree. And I also just want to say the beginning bit when he steps out of the TARDIS in his robe and he's carrying
Yes.
the two mugs. When I first saw the episode, I was so confused. I'm like, who's in there with you? But when he told Trev that he never gets used to his companions leaving, basically, which just, oh,
I
that
know.
hurt. That was such a deep cut.
It was. And you can really see throughout the whole episode how much he's missing Ruby. And we'll talk more about that later. But yeah, I loved that first bit of him getting the coffee and the robe. So iconic. And Trev. I love Trev. He is so sweet and his story is so sad. But I love the ending. He really gets to redeem himself.
He really does redeem himself, and the dialogue between him and 15 was really funny, especially
Hmm.
the moment where 15 says something along the lines of, "Don't worry, Trev, you won't need to like have a blank mind.
I don't
You don't
think
have
they'll
to
be
worry about that."
necessary in your case.
Yeah, which was so funny. But yeah, he was so sweet, and honestly, I kind of wish we could see him again.
Me too. Okay, so basically the whole premise of this episode is what is really behind all those locked doors in hotel rooms. And I kind of have a problem with the premise in general. And it's true, there is always a locked door. But has anyone really thought about it for more than 2 seconds? And it just feels like we're doing a lot of reaching to base the entire episode around that concept. And when the doctor's talking to Trev, he says, like, they're talking about all the rooms, and he's like, oh, the Tower of Pisa, the Stone Age, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, oh, this answers, the oldest question in the entire universe about the locked doors in hotel rooms. And I'm like, okay, but they're not just going to hotel rooms. They're going to all these different places. So no, it doesn't. Like, there's not. Yes, there is a connection because some of the doors do go to hotel rooms, but not all of them.
Wait, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a tent in Mount Everest. It's a locked door on a train on the Orient Express. Like, you're correct on that. Also, let me just be real. I have been in many a hotel room. Only some of them have had a mysterious locked door. Not all of them.
No, not all of them.
And if there's ever a locked door, 9 times out of 10, that locked door is connected to the room next door.
Yeah, exactly. It really feels like Moffat, Russell was like, hey, I need you to write this Christmas special. And Moffat was, probably in a hotel room thinking, what am I going to write for the 2024 Christmas special? And he saw a locked door and was like, there we go. It really feels like he just kind of pulled that together out of thin air.
Honestly, you're probably actually correct on that. And also later in the episode when 15 is like, you can tell a lot about a person based on their hotel room. And I'm like, respectfully, no, you can't. I don't know about anyone else, but I know for me, when I'm looking at a hotel room, I'm not like, oh, this makes me seem lonely or this makes me seem fabulous. I'm looking to see what's the cheapest hotel room and the biggest bang for my buck.
Yeah, and he says, like, you chose that hotel room. No, she didn't. She didn't choose it. It was just given to her. No one chooses their hotel room. It's just kind of assigned to you at random.
Yeah. So that whole thing, I just kind of was like, okay, that's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Though I do get the idea of him being like, that is such a sad, pathetic hotel room. Like, why would anyone stay here on Christmas? But I think there's a better way of weaving that in than being, you can tell so much about someone based off of the hotel room they choose, because no, that's not a thing.
Yeah, because for all you know, it could have been someone who was visiting their family, but at night they would just come and sleep in the hotel room. And that's why it was bare and lonely and cheap.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's a little silly. But moving on, the kitchen at the Time Hotel is 30 minutes in the future. And that's really nice. That's really helpful. And when can we get that?
That would be really nice.
I will say, like, for months, every time we've seen that clip, ham and cheese toasty with a pumpkin latte, it always makes me want a ham and cheese toast with a pumpkin latte. I'm like, that sounds really good. However, if I have to hear Shuchi Gatwa saying that one more time, I think I'm going to lose my mind. That clip of him going to all the different rooms, I swear, I feel like I've seen it 1,000 times, and I don't think I can do it anymore.
That's so funny. I do love the bit though, where he's just stumbling into random parts of history. And I do just want to say our man Stephen Moffat really loves highlighting the Blitz, the London Blitz.
He loves the Blitz. This is the third Stephen Moffat story that he either wrote or was written under his era that includes the Blitz, and it just tracks. Like, okay, so Stephen Moffat is just one of those World War II obsessed men. I get it, but it's like, how many times are we going to go to the Blitz?
Yeah, it's really funny.
Trev dying and his last words being like, I went and let him down is so sad.
No, his death is so sad. And the doctor kind of, I don't know, the way it's written, it's almost like the doctor didn't even notice Trev was dying.
Yeah.
And like, because Trev went silent. But no, it was so sad because he was just trying to help the doctor.
And then the suitcase ends up in Joy's room.
And the doctor comes in, and him and the Silurian are having their whole like back and forth. And Joy is just in the background being like, excuse me, can I cut in here? What are your
I know.
thoughts?
I love her line of her being like, sorry, am I in the way in my own room? Like, am I even part of this conversation? I love that. So real. And Anita is so funny. She just really is so calm and nothing phases her ever. Like, Joy's like, there's a lizard man in my room. And Anita's like, I'm sorry, this has never happened before. And then she just goes about her business, stalking the bathroom and leaves. And she is completely unbothered.
Yeah, that was really funny. I do love that commentary. The whole like interaction with it all was really interesting, but I just want to know why, Joy, why did you reach for the briefcase? Because as soon as she reaches for that briefcase, it handcuffs her,
Mm-hmm.
and the Solarian basically dies, which is really sad actually. That whole
I
scene is really
know.
sad.
Also, bring back the Silurians. I want to see
Mhm.
more of them. I miss them. They are some of the most interesting creatures in the universe, whatever. And I want to see them back.
No, I completely agree.
I also, one of my favorite lines is when 15 says, "Excuse my French, but what the French is going on?"
Yes. That was like one of my favorite lines, honestly. It was really
Yeah.
funny.
Can I just say, watching this, it made me realize how much I missed 15 and how happy I was to have a new episode with him and how much I love Shuti Gatwa and the 15th Doctor. And I need more. We've only had what, 9, 10 episodes, nine and a
Mhm.
half. I need more. Give us more, please.
Yes, we need more episodes, and we're not just talking about like a new season. We're talking about like upping the amount of episodes per
Yeah.
season because
Mm-hmm.
I think the show and especially the Doctor would really, really benefit from that. I just want to say that I really appreciated in this episode that even though I have my criticisms, even though I wish things were more fleshed out or a little bit different, I really, really liked how much of this episode was really not him exactly all on his own, but a lot of it was just solely focused on him and not
Mm-hmm.
everything else. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it felt like we really got a good look at who he is as the Doctor.
No, definitely. We got a lot of time with him, and seeing him in different situations and react to different things and saw different aspects of his character, angry moments, dark moments later on when he's
Mm-hmm.
talking to Joy. And yeah, I feel like he was great in this episode. And so I really appreciated everything we saw because we got to see a lot.
And then, we're in the year sequence of the Doctor at the hotel with Anita. And honestly, I expected him to go crazy, kind of like 11 did in The Power
Mm-hmm.
of Three, or I expected him to, like, I don't know, go to an ATM and like jailbreak it and get money. But him choosing to like literally stay in the hotel and work for Anita was like really unexpected. But I ended up really really liking that and that he just took that year, which, like, when you think of it, a year for the Doctor is probably like a weekend for us or like
Yeah.
a week at the most for us in comparison to his life. But I don't know. I really liked that.
But also a year where he's just in the same place, no TARDIS, nothing like that could feel like a long time. And
True.
yeah, I loved that whole sequence. And as soon as we see him in that blue polo, I I just love it so much in him serving the most ridiculous food because that's what the psychic papers said they wanted. I absolutely love it.
Yes, and just like the whole sequence of him, mopping, but he's like sonicking the thing, so he's not actually doing it. And he made the microwave bigger on the inside. And then when Anita hands him a plunger, he's like, "Is it armed?" That was gold.
It's
I did not
that
understand. I did
so
not get it at
funny.
first, but once I got it, it was so funny.
No, I that is the best joke of the episode. It's so good. And I need a Shuti Dalek episode immediately. And yeah, I love the
Please.
mopping bit. And like once again, Anita is just unfazed. She's really like, okay, whatever. Also I love that he makes her car blue and fixes her navigational system, and she's like, it doesn't take me where I want to go. And he says, no, but it takes you where you need to go, which
Yeah.
of course is just a wonderful callback to the doctor's wife, and I loved it so much.
Me too. It was really funny actually. And then when they're sitting in chairs in the hotel room and the doctor was telling her basically about the weeping angels, about at least that's what I understood it to be, because he's
Yeah,
like, yeah,
definitely.
yeah, like they won't move as long as you're looking at them. And I loved that callback too. And I loved the drawings all over the room and the TARDISes.
Oh yeah, I love how he says, for some reason there's a lot online, and then as time goes on, you see more and more little TARDIS things in his
Yeah.
room. At one point, there's even like a TARDIS teapot and a mug, which I really love. And my theory as to why there are so many blue police box things online within the universe of the show is that the 14th Doctor and Rose Noble are making all of them together because, as we know, Rose Noble is a crafty girly. She's making things for her little online shop and making Doctor Who inspired things because of the meta crisis and timey-wimey.
Stop. I love that theory actually, because I just thought it was like some sort of fourth wall break. But
Mm.
I love your headcanon, actually.
Thank you, thank you. I love the moment when he looks at the phone and Anita's like, "Who are you not calling?" And he says, "Ruby." And I'm like, "Just call her. Go see her." Like, he had all this time to go see her, to go see anyone he wanted to. And he just doesn't go.
His whole thing is he says to Anita that he just tries to let them move on without him. But here's the thing,
Mhm.
this isn't a situation where you just cut off contact forever, Doctor. Ruby didn't leave you forever. She just wanted to leave you for a time, stop traveling for a time to like spend time with her family and build relationships, with her birth mom and find out the tea about her birth dad. But you not calling her to wish her Merry Christmas, why? This is what
Yeah.
I don't
Oh,
understand about
it's
the
her
doctor.
birthday. It's her birthday.
It's her birthday on Christmas Eve. He doesn't call her for her birthday. He doesn't call her for Christmas. After they spent the past year together, or however long it was, not to mention that he has a pattern of this. It's like whenever a
Mhm.
companion leaves, he's like thinks that in order for them to move on, he can never contact them again or mention them again. And I just feel like that no, like they were important people in his life. They traveled with him. They risked their lives for him and he risked his life for them. And him not just wanting to follow up and say Merry Christmas or Happy Birthday. Like, get
Yeah.
it together, doctor. Get it
Es-
together.
Especially because the last time he saw her, she was like, "Am I ever going to see you again?" And he was like, "Yes, definitely.
Uh-huh.
I'll see you again because whatever he said in that scene." And the whole thing like, "Oh, I got to let them move on." We know they don't move on. Not really from all
No.
the times he's met past companions again, Sarah Jane, whoever. It's hard for them to move on because he just disappears and never to be seen again. Like, people need that closure, and he could have given that to them. He could have gone to that companion support group, but no.
And I mean, we see Ruby at the end of this episode just so which, first of all, I want to know where exactly she's at because it doesn't look like that's her flat.
Also,
And it's
which
Christmas
mom was she talking
2025.
to?
That's what I want to know too. Like, what's going on there?
Yeah.
But like, she's looking at the star, and I'm assuming she was anticipating the doctor to call her. I don't know for sure. I could be wrong.
Mhm.
But just like, you can see she's sad. She's sad to
Yeah.
like not hear from the doctor.
It makes me really sad. Okay, we skipped over a really important scene that we need to go
Yeah.
back to, and that is the scene when future 15 comes in and gives the code and takes Joy, and past 15 kind of yells at his future self and has a little breakdown. And I do really like this moment, and he's like, this is why no one likes you, this is why you are so alone. And it's a great performance. It just feels a little undeserved and a little out of nowhere, but I can't
Yeah.
accept that because it is a good moment.
No, I agree. I feel conflicting feelings about it. I really like it. And I really always love when the doctor beefs with himself. It's always great when he does
Yeah.
that. But I agree with you. It was a little out of place. I'm not gonna
Mhm.
lie.
I do really like how he was like, "You're so lonely. You don't even have any chairs and you haven't
Cheers.
noticed because no one comes around." And then he's like, "Oh my gosh, I don't have any chairs. Um let's get some chairs in there. Let's get some freaking
Mm-hmm.
chairs."
Yeah, I don't know if it's been like in any of our podcast episodes, but I know me and you, Rebecca, we've talked quite a bit about there being no chairs in the TARDIS and how that's a
Mhm.
problem.
My dream is for one day the TARDIS to have a couch. That's my dream.
Oh my gosh, that would be so fun.
Right? Like a cozy little couch for them all to sit on.
Like 9 and 10, they both had that like bench looking seat, and I don't know, like it was a seat, but like it added a
Mhm.
lot to the TARDIS, and we need a return of that.
We do.
And it was kind of a funny mention because Moffat really proved he really knows what the fans want and are upset about.
He really does. He really does. Okay, Anita, I need to know more about her because
Mm-hmm.
when, 15 is like, no, I gotta let, Ruby move on. She's like, yeah, you and me both, like letting them move on. Who is she not calling? Who is she letting move on? And her whole thing later, like, yeah, boyfriends, who needs them? Like, what is her story? What is she? Where's her friends? Where's her family? Why is she at this hotel? I need to know everything.
Yeah, I need her whole backstory. I want to know. And like that's an example of what I meant, and I'm sure what you meant as well, is being
Hmm.
more fleshed out of like what is her story? Like even a line or two would have illuminated her background just a bit more.
Yeah.
I do really like the shot of them though when they're sitting on, was it the fire escape? Like on the side of the
Yes.
building watching the fireworks. I thought that was a really great shot.
Hmm.
I really liked that.
I also love when they're sunbathing on the fire escape. That's
Yeah.
that's great. And I love the bookends of her being like, I love when the clocks go forward, don't you? And he's like, oh, I
Mhm.
hate. And then later she's like, oh, I hate when the clocks go back. Literally, me right now, every
Yeah.
day since the clocks changed, I have been so upset. And every single day, I'm like, why is it so dark? I hate it. I can't see. It's so dark.
Yeah.
So I I really appreciated that. I really needed that.
No, same. And I love like the brief shots we get of just like the drawings in the window of the
Hmm.
room and we just hear the audio of them. But you can tell the seasons have changed based on the weather, or at one point there's a pumpkin outside the
Hmm.
window, and I really liked that. And then it's Christmas 2025 and the doctor goes to leave a gift on the front desk and sneak away before saying goodbye, which is another thing
Hmm.
this man
This
does.
this man.
This
Um,
man.
their goodbye is so, it really gets me. It's
Yeah.
really emotional, and I like what he says. You're so great, and I bet people tell you that all the time. And it's like, her face is like, no, actually they don't. But thank you. And she's like, I knew you were gonna leave. Like, it's okay. And she's like, think about me, think about me from time to time. And I just found their whole goodbye so sad and so sweet. And I loved it.
Me too. It hit me in the feels.
Is it kind of weird that he doesn't ask her to be a companion? Like, he doesn't
It's a
invite
little
her to
weird.
join him?
It's a little weird that he didn't.
Yeah. I mean, it's really nice later that he gets her the job at the Time Hotel, which I love that for her, iconic, but I
Yeah.
don't know, like, why not bring her along?
No, I agree. I would like to know that answer. Or like
Yeah.
even asking. There's been so many instances of where he's asked someone and then, well, one, they die, or two, they're just like, nah, but thank you for the invitation. But like he didn't even invite her or say anything about it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we're back. It is Christmas 2025. He
Mhm.
is back connected to the Time Hotel and he takes Joy from past 15. And then he mentions that he figured out the password. Like he tells Joy that basically he himself heard him say the password at one point, and he mentions a bootstrap paradox. And
Mhm.
here's the thing, I've seen a lot of people hate that part online. Perfectly valid, but it is such a Moffat thing to do, and I kind of love it. It's kind of
I
iconic.
love it. Yeah, especially
Yeah.
when he's like, yeah, the universe also appeared out of nowhere and no one complains about that. And it's like, yeah, that makes sense. And it's like sometimes with time travel, you don't know what came first, the chicken or the egg. We just don't know.
Yeah.
And yeah, it makes sense. And it's something the show has, kind of explored before,
Yeah.
and that's okay. I really enjoyed seeing that conversation between the two doctors again, but this time from the future 15's perspective. And you
Yeah.
really understand now when he's like, you'll figure it out. Like, you got to go the long way round. And it's like, no, you do. And you really get to see kind of the growth he's had in that year. And I don't know, I just really liked getting to see that moment the second time around from that whole new perspective because it really changes everything.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It changes the whole perception of it all.
Also, Moffat loves to use the line the long way round, and I can't blame
Yeah.
him because I love that line. And every time I hear it, it makes me think of the Day of the Doctor and
Yeah.
11. But yeah, he loves to use that line. Okay, this episode answered a long held question of mine, and I'm so, so glad I got this question answered. And my question was, did COVID happen in the Doctor Who universe? And we finally have confirmation that it did. And I'm honestly glad that it did because it wouldn't make sense for it not to be included when every other historical event happened, as far as we know, like it did. And the emotional stakes that it has for Joy and her, that scene of her yelling at the doctor and talking about how she had to say goodbye to her mom on an iPad and she wasn't there for her and she let her down, and getting mad at the government for making the rules and then they were the ones not following the rules. I think that is something we can all really relate to, and I think the pain from that time is something we ignore, but the scars are still there, and so I really appreciated the acknowledgement of that.
Me too. And actually, I was really surprised because I have not liked when COVID is mentioned or brought up in any fictional
Mhm.
media because I don't know, it's just such a reminder of a really terrible time for the world. And so always have such a difficult time whenever it's mentioned. And I do think that some shows and like some shows really have not handled it great.
Mhm.
But I actually was surprised at how much I liked it in this episode. And I feel like it was done really tactfully. And you're right. Like it harped on something that happened to so many people, which having that shown the way it was, it hit deep for me, and I know it hit deep for a lot of other people because it is a collective pain that we just tend to ignore because it just even though it's been almost 5 years, it's still very fresh.
Mhm.
And I do just have a slight silly question though after all that. So, did her mom die, just like die in the hospital with whatever she was in the hospital with, which I'm assuming was COVID?
Mhm.
Or did she die because she became a part of A Star with Joy? Was it like a bootstrap paradox thing? Because I don't know, I was a little confused about that. Because at the end, like, she goes to be with Joy as a star? And I don't know, I was confused.
Yeah, I maybe it is a bit bootstrappy, but I mean, either way, it's kind of clear that she was going to die.
Right.
And then she gets to go be with Joy in the end. So I guess that's kind of what it's meant to be.
Oh, and we did skip over that villain guard is behind this whole briefcase situation,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
they're brought back, which, like, honestly, I'm so confused because I don't know. I feel like that the conclusion wasn't that final with it. Even though Joy says we're beyond them, we're beyond villain guard. I'm just like, what does that mean, Queen?
I guess it's like the AI interface kind of took over, and Joy took over, because she was part of it because it was, she had the briefcase at one point. And maybe it's because of like what Trev did, he had 65 million years to kind of
True.
take over a little bit. So I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't get explained in a satisfying way at all. It's hard to track, but I'm just like, okay, we're rolling with this, I guess.
And to be honest, the whole star thing, I mentioned this time and time again, but it's still, I don't know, just a little bit confusing to me. And
Hmm.
it's not like the end of the world by any means, how this episode ended with the star, but it was just a bit of a, I don't know what I'm trying
Yeah.
to say.
Um. Okay. First off, I think the whole like Bethlehem ending was very predictable.
Yeah,
Um.
it
I
was.
like going into the episode. You kind of know we're gonna end up in Bethlehem, and I was really, really worried about that, especially because there were reviews coming
Yeah.
out that were like, the ending is crazy and it's going to be offensive and people are not going to like it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what, what are we about to see? But I wasn't upset by it in any means. And the star becoming the Christmas star, I'm like, okay, I don't know. I guess it didn't really bother me that much. It's kind of predictable. The Bethlehem, I already said that was predictable. But I did like the montage after that of everyone singing. Ruby sees the star and Anita sees the star and other
Mm-hmm.
people who see the star. And that I did really like. But yeah, it is kind of confusing. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. But yeah.
Yeah, the end with Bethlehem wasn't my favorite, and it was very predictable, and I was also worried because I read those same reviews. So, like, it wasn't my favorite. It's not what I would choose, but it's not like the worst thing.
Yeah. I didn't find it like overly offensive or in any way, or that like, I don't know. But
Yeah. I do want to say though, before that point, Joyce Slays kind of
mm,
in talking to the doctor about being like, sir, you were in that room for a year. You also were
yeah,
sad
I
and
do love
lonely.
that. I do love that comeback. Like, hey, that was your room too. And everyone has been hating on that moment where she's like, oh, I think you need to go find a friend. And they're like, that's exactly what happened in The Runaway Bride with Donna and Ten. And I'm like, okay. And I liked it. I don't care that it's like The Runaway Bride. I like it. And everyone is like, oh, it's just the same thing over again. He had a blonde companion whose name started with an R, and then a Christmas special, someone telling him to go find a friend, and now he's going to go meet a new companion who works at a hospital. I don't care. It's not that similar. It doesn't feel like it's an exact copy of what happened 20 years ago at this point. And honestly, I don't care. I don't care. I'm sorry.
Here's the thing, it's not a new concept because this is something that has been harped on throughout the entire series, that the doctor needs someone, he needs a companion to
Hmm.
travel with him. And it's a sentiment that has been echoed from many different people and from Doctor Who writers and from the fandom. It's not a repeat of Donna. It's really not. It's a concept that's been consistent since the revival and most likely also since Classic Who.
It's something that pretty much like almost every companion says to him when they're leaving. You know, Amy's like, don't be alone. River's like, don't travel alone. Everyone's like, don't be alone. You know, this man cannot be alone. He cannot be left to his own devices. It's a reoccurring theme of the show. It's who the character is. He constantly needs the reminder. And it's not exactly like the Runaway Bride. Like, things are different. And again, I don't care if it is like the Runaway Bride.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
Also, something I wanted to mention, you know, when we see Joy connecting with her mom again and their FaceTime shuts off and it says Royal Hope Hospital on the iPad, is that where we're going to meet Belinda next series? Because if you haven't seen, there's a clip going around of the next series, and it's very short. All we really see is Verada Sethu walking through a hospital, and someone's like, a doctor's looking for you, and she's like, of course, duh. And then 15's arguing with someone. So is that going to be the Royal Hope Hospital? Because they really kind of lingered on that logo for a moment.
They really did. And I'm also interested to see why Moffat had to read the series 2 finale in order to finish this Christmas special. I won't speculate, but I am very fascinated to see why RTD insisted on that.
Me too. That will be very interesting to see in a couple months, I guess. Oh, I love the Ruby cameo. I don't know if we really properly mentioned it, but I wasn't expecting us to see Millie Gibson, and I love that we just get a little glimpse of her because I miss her and I need her back immediately.
I miss her so much, and I did not expect to see her either, and I got so excited when she came on the screen.
Me too. Oh, the fact of Trev saving the day, we talked a little bit about it, but I just absolutely love that, and how he was like, you know, like I told you once a long time ago, I'm not going to let you down. And I love that redemption for Trev. It was so sweet.
No, I agree. It was so sweet.
Also, we didn't really talk about it, but I really love kind of the darker side of the 15th Doctor that we get to see in this episode, when he's kind of provoking Joy and, you know, getting her to be angry. That's not a side that we've seen in this Doctor, and I really, really liked it. And shoot, he played it really well.
Oh, it was so good, and I low-key want to see more.
Me too. Me too. More Dark 15, more anger and arguments. I'm hoping for more of that.
Not to be a pessimist or an awful person, but the Doctor needs more anger again.
Yeah, a little more angst.
Yes, angst.
Now, usually, this is the part of the episode where I say, do we have any reviews from the past? But this is pretty much as much in the present as we get on this podcast. So do we have any reviews of this episode?
We do, and these will be from Reddit. The Reddit comments on the Doctor Who subreddit.
I'm ready.
Okay, so this first comment/review is from the user JenGara25 on the Doctor Who subreddit, and they said, I liked it overall, but Nicola felt a bit wasted to me. She's such a great actress with incredible natural likability, but she's intentionally written as quite robotic when holding the briefcase and is crying or upset a lot of the time and absent for quite a bit. For a woman of her charisma and talent, I kind of wanted more. When she got the briefcase, I kind of thought they were going the direction of her being a hammy villain, which could have been fun.
Yeah, I agree. I think she was wasted. I mean, I think that scene when she's talking about her mom is really like her best moment of the episode, and such a great performance from her. But yeah, like, she's so talented, and so like people love her so much from Dairy Girls and Bridgerton, and I do wish she was just given more screen time and more to do.
Yeah, I agree. This next comment is by the user Billy the Pigeon on the Gallifrey subreddit. And they said, when it got up to the end of the Anita sequence, I thought this might be one of the best episodes for years. I loved the way it took a narrative turn and did something genuinely unexpected. I thought that sequence in particular was beautifully written and really played to Gatwa's strength and his absolutely massive charm. The second half of the episode I thought was okay. I loved all the sequences involving the rooms to different moments in history, and I wish they could have featured more, but I felt the resolution felt a bit rushed and confused, and I don't think Joy was quite developed enough to warrant her big emotional ending. In fact, I was surprised how little Nicola Coughlin's featured in the episode in general in comparison to Anita.
I agree. When they started the whole Anita montage, that was very unexpected, and I think we all kind of agree that's our favorite part of the episode, which is kind of funny. But yeah, I really did enjoy that. We already said I wish Nicola was given more to do, but the parts that we do see about her character are really strong, and her even mentioning, that's why I'm alone on Christmas. That's why I can't see anyone on Christmas. It makes sense. She's clearly been very impacted and has a lot of guilt for not being able to be there with her mom when she died. So it makes sense. I feel like we've already talked about it to death at this point.
For sure. And this last comment I have, it's more a comment than a review, but I thought it was a really something interesting. And this is also from the Gallifrey subreddit, and this is by the user MetroMiner21, and they said, it felt like a poignant metaphor for how self-destructive grief can make someone, however intentional that was. As the response, another Redditor by the name of Alex Kelly said, unintentional, I think. It would have been a much more interesting episode if that was Joy's actual motive. If I understood the episode correctly, Villengard killed Joy and everyone that touched the suitcase, got them to enjoy it with their starseed mantra, and the Doctor did nothing, but it's all good because the star inadvertently lit the way to Bethlehem. Also, why did Villengard need to make a star for energy? Isn't the universe full of them? Actually, good question.
That is a really good question. I Yeah, I guess I forgot that they said it's for energy. In my mind, they were trying to make like a giant bomb, but
same.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. It's a bit unclear. The holes are there, and we're finding the holes. But this episode, it was enjoyable. Like, I did really enjoy the watch, and it was fun to watch. And sometimes, it doesn't have to be all entirely serious as a Doctor Who episode.
Exactly. It was, and it felt very Christmassy, which I appreciate because I really enjoy a Christmassy Christmas special, and Moffat always, for the most part, delivers on that front. And it was nice to watch a Stephen Moffat Christmas special, and all the little lines and Moffatisms and callbacks were fun, and I appreciate. And yeah, like I said, this is definitely going into my rotation of specials I'll watch every year. Where does it compare to you against The Church on Ruby Road?
Honestly, I think, at least today, I think I prefer The Church on Ruby Road just a tiny bit more, but tomorrow it will probably switch.
That's so fair. Right now I'm like, I think I do prefer it more than The Church on Ruby Road, but ask me in a year from now, I guess, once I've had more time.
But yeah, it was a fun time, and I guess we can ask the question, Rebecca, what was the heart of this story?
Oh my gosh, I forgot that we do this. It has been so long. Okay, the heart of this story is take time to sit in chairs with your friends and play board games. And bring back cards and board games and invite some friends over. And that's what we all should be doing in 2025 is chair night. We all need to have chair night.
Oh, that sounds so fun, actually.
And I think I know what the answer is going to be, but who is the star of the show?
Okay, actually, Anita, but also shout out to Trev.
I completely agree. Yeah. Anita, but special shout out to Trev. Second shout out to the Silurian man, because
Yes.
I like that moment that he and the doctor has, and the doctor's like, I respect your people so much. Like, you are the first civilization on Earth, the strongest civilization I know. And bring back Silurians. I really want to see them again.
Me too.
Anything else before we go?
Just that I am so excited that we are resuming our Series 3 podcast episodes. So the next episode will be us talking about 42.
Yes. Thank you guys for bearing with us while we took a couple weeks off to deal with the holidays and just life. But we are back, and next week we are jumping into 42 and then the rest of series 3. And I cannot tell you how excited I am to talk about the rest of series 3, because some golden episodes await us, and I hope you all will join us.
And with all of that said, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at timey-wimey-pod and email us anything and everything
to timey-wimey-pod@gmail.com.
And leave us a review on your podcast listening platform.
And we will see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye. Ta-ra.